Cassidy Goodson was born in 1997. Her early years were spent in a loving family in a quiet neighborhood of the small city of Lakeland, Florida, USA, with a population of about 100,000 people. She was described as a girl with great potential, sociable and successful in softball. Both of her parents worked hard for the family, prioritizing their children's well-being. Cassidy had a brother and a sister, and she maintained a fairly close relationship with both. During her teenage years, Cassidy had no issues with her parents or the law. She did not use illegal substances, did not smoke, was athletic, and excelled academically. She helped her mother with household chores and attended church with her family every Sunday. Everyone who knew her believed she had a bright future. She was eager to learn and planned to build a career. Having a family was also part of her future plans, but only later, when she could stand on her own feet. However, in the spring of 2012, the life of the 14-year-old girl changed dramatically. Her brother and sister noticed that Cassidy had started behaving differently. Most notably, she had gained weight. However, her mother assumed it was due to hormonal changes. Cassidy also changed her clothing preferences. It seemed she was very self-conscious about her appearance and began wearing baggy clothes to hide her figure. Because of this, some people quickly started suspecting that she was pregnant. Rumors about it spread around school. Cassidy even avoided changing with her classmates before gym class. She did not confide in her sister or her closest friends. In reality, she was indeed in a delicate situation. Despite her young age, she was terrified of how her family would react, was extremely anxious about it, and decided to keep her pregnancy a secret from her parents and everyone around her. As time passed, her belly grew, and she continued gaining weight but remained silent. She wore the same baggy pants, so no one in her family would notice the changes, and wrapped herself in a blanket while at home. The once smiling and sociable girl now spent most of her time alone in her room, barely talking to anyone. She stopped attending church to avoid being seen by acquaintances, and tried to leave the house only when no one could notice her. Naturally, her mother and sister noticed the strange changes in her behavior. Her mother even tried to discuss the possibility of pregnancy with her after hearing rumors from her other daughter. Cassidy immediately denied these assumptions. Her mother insisted that she take a pregnancy test to eliminate any doubts. However, deep down, she did not believe Cassidy would hide something like this. The woman bought several tests, and her daughter agreed to take them. Cassidy's mother trusted her, so she did not stay to watch during the test. This worked perfectly for Cassidy. She managed to deceive everyone easily. She convinced her family that she was not pregnant. Her mother's trust turned out to be a fatal mistake. Afterward, the woman talked to her daughter about the topic again, but Cassidy firmly stated that she did not need any lectures about contraception because she was not sexually active and was not dating anyone. Once again, her mother believed her. Her mother washed her clothes every week and thought she was keeping track of her daughter's menstrual cycle. Around the same time, even her father started noticing Cassidy's unusual behavior. One day, when he saw her walking around the house wrapped in a blanket, he also began having reasonable doubts. He, like the rest of the family, tried to talk to her, but Cassidy dismissed any questions and suspicions. Her brother and sister also started suspecting that Cassidy was hiding something serious. Her sister repeatedly questioned her, especially after the rumors spread throughout the school. She doubted that Cassidy had actually taken a pregnancy test, and even discussed her concerns with other family members multiple times. Eventually, word reached their grandparents, but even they could not get a confession from their granddaughter. Cassidy kept saying that she had simply gained weight due to puberty and felt extremely insecure about it. And they believed her. By midsummer, her belly had grown so large that it was impossible to hide it with baggy clothing. She spent almost all her time wrapped in a blanket, but continued insisting that she was not pregnant. Cassidy ignored her loved ones, avoided answering questions, and sometimes even responded harshly. Realizing that they would not get through to their daughter, her parents eventually gave up. They continued their daily lives, unaware of the tragic turn events would soon take. Of course, it was impossible to hide such a thing forever, as the due date was approaching. This situation ultimately led to a horrifying tragedy. On September 19th, 2012, Cassidy's mother entered the bathroom after her daughter had been in the shower for an unusually long time. She immediately noticed blood on the toilet and the floor. Alarmed, she suspected something was wrong and went to Cassidy's room. There, she found her daughter in a weak and sickly state, pale and exhausted, but Cassidy kept insisting that she was fine. However, her mother refused to back down. She insisted on a medical examination and took Cassidy to the hospital. In the emergency room, she told the doctors that her daughter might have had a miscarriage and asked them to conduct an examination. Under pressure, Cassidy confessed she had indeed suffered a miscarriage. According to her, while she was sitting on the toilet, the fetus unexpectedly came out, and in her shock, she accidentally flushed it away. She claimed that she only realized what had happened afterward, but was too scared to tell her mother. At first glance, her story seemed plausible. The only thing that raised suspicion among the doctors was the strange wounds in her perineal area. However, they had no grounds for further investigation. Cassidy received medical assistance and was sent home. On September 22, 2012, Cassidy's mother noticed a strange, unpleasant smell coming from her daughter's room. Assuming that Cassidy had simply forgotten to throw something away, she began cleaning. The source of the stench was discovered in a container with dirty clothes. At the bottom, the woman found a box containing a plastic bag. When she opened it, she saw the lifeless body of a newborn. At 7:30 p.m., Cassidy's mother panicked and called the police. That same evening, Cassidy was detained and interrogated. Under pressure, she finally confessed. There had been no miscarriage. She had given birth to the baby in the bathroom, then suffocated him and hid the body in the box. Cassidy described the entire event in detail. That day, her water broke, but she skillfully concealed it from her family. Gathering her wet bed sheets, she went to the shower to mask what was happening. During labor, she bit down on a towel to stifle her screams. She gave birth while sitting on the toilet and then used scissors to extract the baby. When it was over, Cassidy saw the newborn covered in blood. She realized he was breathing, but her fear of being exposed was stronger. She suffocated her son and placed his body inside a plastic bag, which she hid in the box with dirty laundry. An autopsy revealed that the baby was full-term and completely healthy. He weighed 4 kilos, nearly 9 pounds, disproving Cassidy's claims of a premature birth. Medical examiners determined that the cause of death was suffocation. Additionally, the baby had head injuries and torn wounds caused by careless use of scissors. Investigators also attempted to determine the identity of the baby's father. During the investigation, they discovered that he was a minor who had not even known about Cassidy's pregnancy. His identity was kept confidential to protect his privacy. The trial gained widespread public attention. Cassidy was charged with premeditated murder. Her parents tried to mitigate her sentence, arguing that she was too mature to fully comprehend her actions. However, the court ruled that she was old enough to be held accountable. In the end, Cassidy was sentenced to 1.5 years in prison, followed by strict supervision. The judge emphasized that this case had destroyed multiple lives, but gave the girl a chance to reform. If she broke the law again, she would face 15 years in prison as an adult. This case sparked heated debates among psychologists and sociologists. Many noted that fear of family judgment is one of the main reasons why teenagers hide their pregnancies, sometimes leading to tragedies. However, no theory could justify Cassidy Goodson's cruelty. Even in the face of overwhelming evidence, Cassidy continued to lie and insist on her version of events. This issue became particularly controversial after the incident. Experts in psychiatry were divided into two camps. Some supported Cassidy and believed her family was partially to blame, while others held her solely responsible. The case triggered numerous discussions and research analyses. One expert presented a study suggesting that 7 out of 9 girls who had committed similar crimes were either their father's favorites or had grown up without a mother. Despite the absence of obvious mental disorders, these girls often played a simplified or mixed role within their families, which led to dangerous psychological consequences, sometimes resulting in the murder of their newborns. These girls were usually high achievers in school, involved in sports, and socially well-liked, much like Cassidy. The confusion of family roles created a sense of guilt over intimacy with another person, which could distort their perception of reality. In such cases, their own newborns might be seen as something alien and harmful, something to be eliminated. Teen mothers in similar situations often wished for stillbirths, seeing them as the easiest way to avoid responsibility. Some even convinced themselves that their baby was born dead, despite the fact that he was alive and healthy. This allowed them to dispose of the child without remorse. Another major factor that worsened such situations was isolation from loved ones, which was also observed in Cassidy's case. By refusing to discuss her problems with her family, she trapped herself in a corner. Cassidy's actions also fueled debates on abortion rights. Many believed that in her case, an abortion would have been the obvious solution, yet public opinion remained divided. On social media and in the news, Cassidy Goodson's story was used as an argument in favor of accessible abortions for minors to prevent tragedies like this one. Many wondered, why did the full weight of this decision fall on a 14-year-old schoolgirl? Why did no adults notice her growing belly or the changes in her behavior? Cassidy's relatives admitted that her manner of communication and behavior had become increasingly uncharacteristic of her, yet no one attempted to find out the cause of these changes. People who sympathized with Cassidy's situation were shocked that her mother only realized what was happening after finding blood in the bathroom. Why hadn't anyone taken her to a doctor before then? There was no clear answer to this question. Against this backdrop, part of the public blamed Cassidy's parents for the crime, believing that the teenagers simply had not received enough attention from them. This could have been why she tried to keep her pregnancy a secret. One of the most shocking details was her use of scissors. According to medical reports, Cassidy used them to cut herself, severed the umbilical cord of her still living baby on her own, and attempted to extract him using an ordinary office tool, as if it were a surgical instrument. Of course, she experienced excruciating pain, but to endure it, she simply bit down on a towel. It remained unclear what exactly drove her to such an act: her mental or emotional state, or sheer panic over her parents' possible reaction. How unbearable must the atmosphere at home have been for a 14-year-old girl to be willing to endure such agony just to hide her pregnancy? These questions also tormented the investigators. They conducted a thorough inquiry, but found no evidence of abuse by her parents. Cassidy's body showed no bruises or signs of beatings. Other children in the family denied any instances of physical violence from their parents. After serving a year and a half in a juvenile correctional facility, Cassidy was released. She successfully completed a rehabilitation program designed for young offenders. It was noted that she did not display aggression, and the risk of her committing another crime was considered minimal. The commission ruled that Cassidy could be reintegrated into society. However, society was not ready to accept her. She lost all her friends, received regular threats, and was afraid to go outside. Cassidy returned to her bedroom, which her parents had left untouched since her arrest. Everything remained as it was, including the acne lotion she had used at 14. The hardest part was facing her family, but they tried to support her. Despite her efforts to adapt, Cassidy admitted multiple times that people hated and harassed her. She realized that her life had turned into a nightmare, and she had no idea when it would end. Despite her traumatic past and the crime she committed, Cassidy did not abandon the idea of becoming a mother. In 2017, she got married and later gave birth to a daughter. 2 years later, she had another girl, Seema. After Seema's birth, Cassidy posted that she dreamed of having a son. However, her motherhood was met with mixed reactions. Cassidy admitted that many people did not want her to have children at all. When asked why, she simply responded with an emoji. She understood that people could not forgive her for killing her newborn son, and that she had many haters. Comments on her posts stated that she should have remained behind bars for life, and that no one wanted to live near a child murderer. Nevertheless, Cassidy continued to post photos, appearing as a happy young mother trying to build a family. But as she grew older, it became evident that she understood the full weight of what she had done. Her first child had never received a name. She had never planned to keep him. In the case file, he was simply referred to as Baby Goodson. For years, Cassidy remained under public and governmental scrutiny. People had not forgotten about the newborn, who was suffocated just minutes after birth. Her social media often contained hints about the pressure she faced from society. Her last post was in 2020, in which she stated that she could no longer endure the constant harassment. After that, she deleted her account and created a new one, where she resumed sharing photos. It is known that Cassidy graduated from college in Madisonville and became a nurse. However, her life did not improve. By 2021, she began having legal troubles, and in the end, she was sent back to prison, this time alongside her husband. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, support it with a like, subscribe to the channel, and let's discuss the story in the comments.